Welcome to the self-healing incident solution, which we'll be covering in two parts. So let's get started with the self-healing incident example. So the easiest way to navigate to the example is to come to the port.io homepage and go to agentic solutions. One of the agentic solutions is the self-healing incidents, and if we click on that, it takes us to a page that will describe more of the capabilities in self-healing incidents. We'll go ahead and click on See It Live, and that will take us to an incident that is looking at elevated API errors. Now, if you don't want to navigate here through the homepage, you can also go to demo.port.io, come over to Operational Resilience, and look at self-healing incidents. And here you'll be able to see an overview of the workflow for self-healing incidents. And then we can go ahead and click on the elevated API errors that is in progress. Now here you can see that part of the workflow for self-healing incidents is that an incident alert comes in, and then we can have different autonomous agents begin to try to do some of the work of self-healing incidents. And that would be triaging the alert coming in, determining the correct response, investigating what actually happened, proposing a remediation, resolving it, and then doing a post-mortem. So let's go ahead and look at the example. So given the workflow that we just looked at, here you can see an overview of an instance of that workflow with all of the steps that we might go through. And the overview can contain the details of where the incident has occurred so far, and its current step is in the post-mortem. And then any of the output that the workflow may have created, like starting a Slack channel and a Zoom, making sure the status page got updated, and then beginning to do the post-mortem, which we'll look at in a second. So as this workflow occurs, some of the steps can be done by agents, and others can be facilitated by humans reviewing that work or doing the next steps. And here you can see that part of this workflow was to assess the overall business impact of this type of incident and any blast radius where the current outage may be affecting other types of services, and making sure that everyone knows where we are by having a live feed of which agents have done which work so far. And in this case, we're still looking at the triage steps, but this has the information that we need. Now, if we go back up to the top and we jump to the post-mortem step that we're currently on, you can see that the post-mortem review actually has the history, because not only is Port aggregating the information that allows us to do the work for each step, but it's also the system of record for this workflow. So it knows that the monitoring agent saw certain types of information when the alert was fired. It knows that the triage agent got that as input and decided to classify it as a SEB2 incident, which then notified the human, who became the incident owner, and then began the investigation. Once that was confirmed by the on-call SRE, then the incident owner allowed the approval of rolling back the service and notifying the stakeholders. Once that was rolled back, then the resolving agent could double check to make sure that those errors were now gone. And once it was confirmed by the service owners, the incident owner could actually close the incident. So these are the types of things that Port can help with by not only keeping track of the integrations and the data between the systems that are doing the work, but also keeping track of the overall history. So we have some audit and log of what the humans and the agents did together as they were solving this particular problem. Now, if you're interested in learning more about how to build these types of workflows, I suggest you go over to the guides from our documentation area. So at docs.port.io, there are guides. And in this particular case, if you click on the self-healing incidents, you will find guides related to the different steps of that workflow. And then you would be able to recreate that type of workflow by building up the workflow and using these guides. So that's it for this example on self-healing incidents. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.